isn't the administration as concerned I feel it should be with the price of gas? I kind of sense a little bit of conspiracy here. I think they look for a turmoil in the markets so they can take over the industry, the oil industry at some point. Am I wrong? Off track?
Well, I say that. Concerned about the price of gas and what the administration is or not doing about it. And no, I think it was very clear yesterday when the Energy Secretary testified, and he was asked, is it your job to help keep the price of gasoline down? No, it's not. It's to let it go up. I mean, that is clearly their policy, and they're doing everything to make sure the price of gas keeps going up. There are things you could do immediately if you would reverse his decision on the Keystone Pipeline.
Yes.
And you say, well, that wouldn't have an effect. The whole price of energy is based on future markets.
Yep.
And if you say in the future that you're going to have supply out there, it will immediately impact the price of energy. Obviously, we've got, the Middle East, the Iranian situation, which is impacting the potential stop of flow of oil through the Gulf there. But if in fact you said that you were going to open up the U.S. for business, actually explore and go after the resources we have, they wouldn't care about it. We wouldn't care about that. Why are we in the Middle East? I mean, it's energy independence, it's our economy, it's our national security. All of those things could be solved by actually having a policy in place to go after the gas resources we have. I mean, it just drives you crazy. And they, no, I'm not sure exactly, but certainly it was the real radical left that made him say, don't do the Keystone Pipeline. For what reason? They did 2 comprehensive environmental surveys on that pipeline, and the EPA and the State Department, neither one of them found any significant environmental problems. Both said it was fine. And then to come back and say, well, because of environmental reasons, we don't want to do it. After they've done comprehensive research on the whole thing. No. Well, he said, remember back before he was first elected, that if in fact he got his energy policy in place, the prices would have to go up, would necessarily skyrocket, was his words, yes. Well, I think when gas continues to go up with the American people, and you just see the direct result is going to be the economy is going to slow down, you're going to have more unemployment again, and a combination of higher gas prices with a slowdown economy. And like in a place like Iowa, if you're in rural Iowa, you probably drive 15 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles a day to work. We have the highest percentage of both spouses working in the country. And it has a huge impact on that family budget. They don't care. I mean, just, yes. Now you remembered, right?
No, this is something different.
Oh, okay. How do you know if you can't remember?
Is that totally his decision alone? I mean, isn't there?
On the Keystone?
Yeah. Because I know there's a lot of Democrats in the House, both houses that
I mean, I meet with everybody in my office in Washington. I had 2 major labor union folks in my office this week, and they're both extraordinarily supportive. I mean, it's a divide even with their base constituents that labor really wants to think. There's 20,000 direct immediate jobs and about 100,000 supporting jobs as far as equipment and materials and all this stuff, welding and all those things. Yeah, I mean, they have the State Department has to approve it because it's an international order, and so the State Department has to approve it, and he stopped it basically. We put in the extension of the tax bill at the end of the year, a provision saying that he had to make a decision. Well, he did. He said no.
So you guys don't have the power
Well,
anymore?
we're going to be putting it in the highway bill. We're going to be putting it every place possible we can to get it to sign it. Yes.
If we get rid of him, is there still a chance for the Keystone Pipeline?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, you're aware Canada is negotiating with China right now to build the pipeline west. I mean,
That's what I'm
well,
asking.
the first day of a different president, I can assure you the Keystone will be approved.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yes. Latham. Yes.
Concerning taxes, are you in favor of restructuring the system we have or going with a flat tax or?
Anything would be better than both. I mean, it's so complicated, so difficult, expensive to comply with. And, you know, right now we're at, especially business taxes, corporate taxes, we're not competitive worldwide. We've got to reform the whole system and to make it clearer, simpler, and either a flat tax or a consumption tax, whatever, it would be so much better than what we have. The problem is you've got thousands of pages of code and every line in it has somebody behind it someplace.
Are you in favor of, I mean, there was a significant amount of discussion primarily from the Republican side but also from the Democratic side about going in and effectively trying to remove a lot of the loopholes that are built into which in my mind anyway are half of what creates our problem.
Right.
Because they come to you, some constituency comes to you and says, I need a break. And somebody else goes to somebody else, and we end up building this extraordinarily complex tax code that is basically a patronage system. Because that's what a lot of the special tax breaks are for, whether it's the Farm Bill or it's oil companies or it's whoever it is. Is there any significant movement, which frankly I've seen die in the last 90 to 120 days? I've seen virtually nothing about that. Is there any real movement in Congress to try and effectively, I mean, we can talk about flat tax or this tax or that tax, but half of our problem is, you know, 50% of the population pays no tax in the personal side, and if you go to the business side, it's probably as bad or worse. So you have all these companies that make all this money, and they don't pay any tax because of this rule or that rule or some other rule.
That's what the whole debate was about last year with the super committee, and then the potential of an agreement between the speaker and the president walked away. But that was to lower, as far as business taxes, to lower it all down to 25%, get rid of a lot of the loopholes that are in the tax code today. In reality, you would generate more revenue and make us competitive worldwide. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. I mean, but certainly there's going to be resistance because those things are in the code for a reason. Each line has a constituency out there someplace. So it's going to be hard, but I'll guarantee you that a lot of the people who have individual things in the code will tell you that they would give that up if they could get a lower rate. If they knew that they were going to be paying but at a lower rate, a competitive rate from around the world. And we've got 35% taxes on corporations here, and that's the second highest, soon to be the highest in the world, in Japan now lowering their rates. We can't compete. And also, when you talk, there's $1.5 trillion worth of U.S. corporate dollars overseas today that they won't bring back into the U.S. to invest here because they get a double tax. They've already paid tax there. They bring it in here and they're subject to 35% tax. So what do? Where do you invest it? You invest it overseas someplace and build a factory there because it'll cost you 35% to bring it back to the country. I mean, it's some of the policies are so anti-job growth, so anti-U.S. It's insane. But that's why it's going to take. Elections have consequences, I can assure you. Yes.
Kind of going back to Jeff's question, and I don't remember exact numbers, but like underneath the Rocky Mountains, there's like 17 trillion gallons of oil there, and the aquifer that's up north with North Dakota and Wyoming. Yeah. Is there any way that instead of, why do we have to go to Canada even? Why can't we just get our own? I mean, we got enough to last us forever. Is there any way? Do you see any way that that could possibly happen without? I mean, obviously with the noodlehead we got, with the guy